have you slept with a father and son at the same time? What kind of money are you making? Where do they finish? What is a JOI? Surely that can't be good for your insides. I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, Gold Seal. I use their products every single day, and now I finally get to work with them. I use their products for anti-inflammatory, reduced anxiety, better sleep, and mental clarity. I'm going to put a link to their website in the description, along with a 10% discount code for you to take advantage of. Go and have a look at their website, see if there's anything in there for you. I hope you enjoy this week's episode, and good health. Bonnie.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I have seen, well, I've not actually seen the work that you do, but I have seen the backlash that you receive. And if you go on to TikTok, that seems to be the biggest platform where you get the largest amount of stick. And so when I'm listening to other people's reviews on your sex work, your OnlyFans and your porn and the freshers, which we're obviously going to cover.
Yes.
I put a poll up on my ex last night because this didn't nearly go ahead because I've been ill.
Yeah.
So luckily you're flying to America tomorrow to conquer the States. So this is the last shot that we ever had to have a chat. And when I put a poll out saying Bonnie Blue is a 25-year-old OnlyFans porn star and she films herself sleeping with 18-year-old freshers and creates content and puts it out on OnlyFans, what would you say to Bonnie Blue if you was to interview her? And I got backlash.
Yeah.
People were saying, I wouldn't even give her a platform and, I'd want to know why the interviewer wanted to interview her. So for me, I thought, well, I'm definitely going to interview you then because I won't be told what to do. I won't be gagged or restricted.
Why should we be controlled by someone else?
Absolutely not. So, and also I want to get a better understanding of, we're a different generation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as we go through our conversation, there'll be comparables. So to me, what I've seen that you do, excuse me, is bananas crazy.
Yeah.
Completely and utterly off the wall, off the chart. If I had hair, it would make it fall out. But we're going to go right from the beginning and we're going to find out about your life and then we're going to slipstream into all the bits and pieces that people are complaining about and they're shocked about and see if I can get a better understanding of what and why you do what you do and see if the audience can get a better idea of it and we will find out if you're this predator or not.
For sure.
So,
where should we start?
Right from the beginning, where were you born?
Derby. Sort of like between Derby and Nottingham.
Where Sir Kieran Lee was born?
Yes.
Yes, he's also due to come on.
He's fab.
Yeah. Okay, so anybody watching this will want to know how do you want to be described? Are you a porn actress? Are you an OnlyFans star, porn star?
I don't know. People call me all sorts of things, like adult content creator or OnlyFans model or porn star, prostitute, whatever anyone wants to call me.
Okay. Well, the easiest thing to remember is porn star.
Yeah, we'll go with that then.
So I think people are going to want to know how a porn star was brought up, what family life was like, because I think most people will associate
daddy issues.
Porn actresses with daddy issues. So let's get under the bonnet of that. What were your parents like?
Lovely. Parents have always been together. I've got a younger sister. Always family have had a bit of money. We'd always gone nice holidays once a year, nice Christmases, nice birthdays. Just a very simple, normal life.
What was your mum and dad's relationship like?
Yeah, good. Been together since they was in high school and been together ever since. Any
volatility in the household?
No, just normal, your usual arguments, but who doesn't argue? Just a happy household, very supportive parents. I used to dance a lot and so did my sister. There was at every dance competition. There was drop me off at dance every time, was always so supportive no matter what we wanted to do.
Are they naturists? Would they walk around the house freely naked?
No.
Just trying to understand what led you to where you are. So what was your dad, what did he do for a living?
Worked with a metal, what's it called? Train tracks, welder.
Okay, so your dad will predominantly be working with men. Okay, we'll get to that down the line because that's also going to be interesting because, everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
I'd imagine everyone that works for your dad knows who you are. So we'll bookmark that and come to that down the line.
Yeah.
So your dad was a welder. Normal guy?
Yes.
And
quite shy.
Ah, okay. Introvert?
Not really. Like, always would go out socialising with his friends and stuff, but he's more of the listener as opposed to like the entertainer.
Right. And what about your mum?
Bit more louder, a bit more vocal with certain things, but yeah, neither of them was like overly out there or like super introvert. Like they were just, best way to describe it, just normal, average people.
And if the thumbnail on your mum's social media profile is actually your mum's social media profile, there's quite a raunchy picture of her.
Yes.
Is that your mum?
Yes.
Okay, so did your mum have a promiscuous past?
No, not at all. No, that photo is, she lost some weight, had a bit of, had a hair done, felt good, and wanted to take some photos to feel good. Because I think a lot of people, especially women, as they get older, sometimes they lose themselves a little bit, or they sort of feel like, I can't be sexy or I can't feel attractive. And it was just more of she felt good, looked good, wanted to take photos to remember that.
And how old are your parents?
50 and 51.
And you're?
25.
Okay. And did you go to a public school, private school?
Public school.
Did you do well?
Average, like B's and C's. Didn't overly revise. Like I was just like an average student. Like could have been, probably got A's if I pushed for it, but I wasn't that bothered about revising.
And what kind of a schoolgirl were you? Were you gregarious? Did you keep yourself to yourself? Was you a bit of a lone ranger? Did you have a big friendship circle? It
sort of changed. And for majority of my school, I was quite popular. Had a good friendship group. Well, not good. It was just the popular group. So you sort of think, oh, I'm in the popular group. That's the priority. And at school, all you're bothered about is what other people think about you, how many friends you've got, how many Facebook friends you've got, and the silly things like that. And then I can remember it got to like year 11, so my last year of school, and I started to realise how bitchy and how toxic girls can be and the environment can be. So then I sort of completely stepped away from being in the like popular group, as it was called, and just sort of had a couple of friends and found that much better.
Was you sexually active whilst you were at school?
Yes.
And what age did you lose your virginity?
13.
Wow. And how old was the guy?
14.
Okay. And did that blossom into a relationship or?
Yeah, we was in a relationship at the time, been together like 6 months. So when you're 13, like a 6-month relationship feels very long.
So how many sexual partners did you have from the time you lost your virginity until you left school?
4, I think.
4 at school. And were your friends doing the same thing?
Not really, no.
Okay. And did your parents know that you lost your virginity at 13?
No, but they will now. No, it's something like they're sort of aware I did lose it young, but it wasn't like a coming home, going, hey, Mum, I've just lost my virginity at 13.
No. So. But it is one of those things that I remember when I was at school and, people towards the latter years of school that were sexually active, it normally found its way back to the parents, and then there was that chat about contraception and, STDs and that sort of thing. So that didn't happen in your household?
I think maybe a year or so after I'd already lost my virginity, it was the conversation about sex, going on the pill. But yeah, so I'd say it happened sort of a year after I'd lost my virginity.
And how old was you when you left school?
16.
What did Bonnie Blue want to be when she left school?
Oh, a midwife.
Did you?
Yes.
For what reason?
I didn't really have much passion in anything. I wasn't like, oh my God, this is what I want to be in life or this is what I'd like to do. But then I sort of warmed towards midwifery. So I was like, okay, maybe that's something I want to do. So finished school at 16, went into sixth form to do my A-levels so that I could then go on to university to be a midwife.
Did you get into university?
I never even finished my A-levels.
Why not?
So at the time I was a sort of dance teacher and I was working at Pound Stretcher. And each time I'd go into sixth form, I would be thinking I'd much prefer to be, working as opposed to be sat here in a classroom. So I decided to drop out before my mock. So I was only in sixth form for about 4 or 5 months.
What sort of dancing were you doing?
Street, tap, ballet, freestyle, a bit of everything.
I'd imagine people will assume that you would be sort of wrapping yourself around a pole.
No, not like choir dancing, more, like tap, ballet, freestyle.
So you don't make it to university?
No.
For what reason?
For money. I wanted to start work and I started to realise maybe midwifery was not going to be for me. And also the money, the more I started to look into it, I was like, hold on a second, I'm going to do 2 years of my A-levels, 4 years of university, then go into an industry which is very competitive to what? Potentially get a job in midwifery on a salary of 21,000. When if I just worked full-time at Pound Stretcher and dance teaching alongside, I would have been on more money.
So from a young age, were you driven by money?
Yeah, I've always been driven, always had a very good work ethic. I just didn't know what or where to, basically what to do with it.
And whilst you were doing your A-levels, did you have a long-term boyfriend?
Yes, got with my partner when I was sort of 14, 15.
And how long was you with him for?
9 years.
Wow. Did he ever propose?
Yes.
Did you accept?
Yes.
Did you get married?
Yes.
Still married?
Still married, going through a divorce.
When did you get into the adult work?
Last year, sort of May, June time.
Was you still with your boyfriend at the time?
We'd already sort of separated, but at this point we're still living together.
How did it come about?
So I took 2 years off work and then it was time for me to go back to work. And I was scrolling on TikTok and I kept seeing people saying they was earning money from camming and they're staying at home, being able to work for themselves, being independent. And I was like, okay, I'm going to look into this camming. Because at this point I had no idea that I'd ever be able to do OnlyFans or be a porn star. I was very naive. And
did you just stumble across that idea or did you think to yourself, I want to use my body to make money, how do I go about it?
No, like, I've always known about OnlyFans, but I never thought I was either pretty enough or knew, I was not a sex expert. I barely knew anything about it. So I never even thought going into the porn industry would be for me, nor did I have the confidence at the time. So yeah, when I was scrolling on TikTok, kept seeing these women, all shapes and sizes, saying how much money they was earning from staying at home, working from their laptops. I thought that would be perfect. It gives me, I guess, ability to control my own life. I'm not being controlled by someone else. I can have flexibility. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a go.
Was there anything about the sex industry that put you off remotely?
I just didn't know anything about it. I was ignorant to it.
And how many men had you slept with before you decide to?
5.
You slept with 5 men and?
Yes.
And what age were these men that you slept with before you got into the industry?
All roughly around my age or sort of a few years above.
So you're 25, you got into the sex industry when you were 24. And so this time, roughly 18 months ago, you'd only ever slept with 5 people. And now you're sleeping with
gosh knows.
Dozens a day.
Yeah.
That's
how life changed.
Yeah, that is life changing. That's for me. That's madness.
Yeah.
But I want to know the first step you took, the first conversation. So from the first thought to the first person you told to the reaction you received, and then how you slipstreamed into it.
Yeah.
So you thought about it by looking at TikTok.
Yeah. Saw it on TikTok straight away at the time. Said to my partner, I was like, do you think this is something I'll be able to do? What do you think? And he thought it was brilliant. He, just like anyone that's around you, just wants you to be happy. And he knew perhaps me being independent, working from home would make me happy. So at this point, it wasn't about pleasure for men or pleasure for me. It was just purely focused on money. So when I'm scrolling on TikTok, seeing these people earning anything from 1,000 up to 4,000 a week, I'm like, wow, I want to do that. I want to earn money. So that he was obviously the first person I told.
See, for me, my wife, if she comes to me and said, I've got this this business idea.
Yeah.
I want to go on camera and have men watch me do whatever it is I'm going to do to myself with no clothes on. What do you think of that idea? I'd say, well, it's a great idea if you want to be divorced.
So it was sort of focused around happiness and what's best for me. It didn't come from a selfish point of view. Yes, if I'd said to him, do you want me all over the internet and men watching me? He'd probably say no. But if I said to him, do you want me to be happy? The answer would have been yes. And this is what would have made me happy, because it meant I didn't have to go back into a stressful work environment. I could work from home and work my own hours.
Do you think it made him happy, or do you think if he'd have said no, he would have been scared of losing you?
No, it made both of us happy for multiple reasons. It made him happy because he could see me being happy. It gave us more flexibility in life because I was earning money. So it had multiple benefits.
And by this stage, was you still in love with him?
Yes, loved him, but sort of wasn't like in love with him anymore.
So did it feel more like you were sort of bouncing ideas off your best friend?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Okay. So the first time you do it?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing whatsoever. I probably owe that guy a refund. I went into it not knowing much, didn't even know if I was good in the bedroom or if people was going to think I was pretty or entertaining. And yeah, did my first call and I said to my partner at the time, it might be that I don't earn any money today, because you'd only get paid when someone takes you into a private room and is paying you sort of per minute. And yeah, quite quickly my tips were going up. People wanted to speak to me and I was so nervous. I remember thinking, just don't act nervous. They don't know you're nervous, so just fake it. Fake it till you make it.
So just so I know, because I'm OnlyFans is it's like Japanese to me. I've never looked at it. I don't know what it is. How does it actually work? Is there somewhere that you sign up to that gives you a platform?
Yeah, so with Cameron, I was on a site called Adult Work, and you basically log in. It already gets a high volume of traffic, so you don't need a following, you don't need social media, you don't even need to promote as such. You're on there because it's sort of like a shopping list. You scroll down, see loads of profile pictures of girls. If you like the look of that girl, you can click onto her profile. And it's sort of, it will allow you then to watch her in a bedroom or whatever setup she's got. And you can speak to her for 5 minutes for free, no cost. And that girl's responsibility in that time is try and convince them to say, hey, take me into a private virtual room where you can start charging them per minute.
Was you solo or was you with your husband?
Just solo. It was just me, a pack of dildos and a lot of spit.
And a lot of spit?
Yeah.
I'm assuming now it's second nature and you can just get right into it. But at the start, did it feel odd?
Yeah, it was just strange. Like, I'd never done anything like that before. Never even would overly get naked or take sexy photos, or never filmed a tape or filmed myself whatsoever. So it was still very, very new to me, and I was learning a lot. Like, someone said to me once, oh, do you like water sports? And I was like, oh yeah, I love fishing, anything, to do with jet skis and swimming. And there's no, squirting, pissing. And I was like, oh, okay. And it just showed how, I guess, naive I was to it all. I had no idea about the terminology they was using. And half the time I'd be on this campsite and my other laptop would be set up and I'd be Googling what they were saying. I'd be like, what's a JOI? What does, small dick humiliation mean? And I'd have to write myself scripts. Every time someone would request something, I'd be thinking, I've got no idea what that was. So I'd make sure my other laptop had scripts. And no matter what someone requested from me, I was able to then either read it or jog my memory of, okay, that's what that means.
What is a JOI?
Jerk off instructions.
Which is?
I'd be like, okay, Liam, would you like to take your trousers down? Do you want to rub over those boxes of yours? And then I would gradually teach you how to wank and you'd listen to my instructions.
So you've got men tuning into you that don't even know how to wank?
Well, they do know how to wank, but they'd want to listen to me saying how to do it. So I'm like, okay, go a little bit faster, go slower. I don't need to finish for me just yet. It's sort of that type of thing.
Passing the control over to you, that's what gets them off.
Yeah, so then they can close their eyes and either imagine it's my hand there or that, they're listening to someone else's orders. It's just more of a connection as opposed to you doing it by yourself in your room alone.
So I suppose you're relying on repeat customers.
Hit and miss, because like I said, because they've got such high traffic to it, it didn't really matter as such, but I did quite quickly get a lot of repeat customers. Is
that what made you think I'm going to move to OnlyFans?
Yeah, so a lot of them was asking for more videos or more content, or like, oh, I want to watch you when you're not online. Can you make videos? And at the time, Adult Work also have a part where you can sell your own videos, but they go for very cheap because Adult Work isn't meant like OnlyFans. The videos would go for $3-4. As opposed to our OnlyFans, you've got a lot more flexibility on price. So because so many people was coming back for more, wanting to speak to me on a more regular basis, I was like, okay, if I'm going to make videos, I might as well put it on a better platform like OnlyFans.
Right, okay. I mean, so far this doesn't sound particularly outlandish.
No.
Your body, your choice, and exactly. I am all for that as well. Okay, so let's talk about the escalation of your work.
Yes.
Because this is where you're now getting the backlash. So you've gone from camming independently with dildos and spit.
Yes.
And then you've moved on to OnlyFans. So tell me about the journey from Adult Works to OnlyFans to then, and just tell me how it naturally progressed.
Very quickly. Once I set up the social media, it started getting a following quite quickly. And the OnlyFans naturally got quite a good, subscriptions because people from camming was very intrigued and they liked me. And I guess found me different to perhaps what the other girls either spoke about or the way they offered their services. And a guy reached out and said, hey, would you like to collab? And straight away I knew that meant filming a sex tape. And it didn't once cross my mind of, no, that's too far. No, I don't want to do that. It was like, oh my God, yeah, perfect. I'm progressing in my job.
And was he a well-known porn star or just an average bod?
Like a small content creator in the area I was in, known enough for me to go, oh, okay, he's worked with other people in the area or he's worked with other people I'm aware of.
And what was that first encounter like? So he's a stranger?
Yeah.
And where was your husband at this stage?
He had come back to the UK. We had split up at this point.
Before we get to the first encounter, why did you split up?
just naturally grew apart. We'd been together for such a long time, had a beautiful relationship. And I think most people would have stayed together because there was no big breakup. There was no dramatic ending. But I started to realise I could probably be happier. And I never want to live a life thinking I could be happier or I should do something different.
So who filed for divorce, you or him?
Me.
Is that because you wanted to really, really take your porn industry to dizzy heights?
No, he is beyond supportive. It still is supportive now.
Still friends?
Still friends, yeah. There's no bad blood whatsoever. He's super proud of me. Just grew apart, and we adore each other as friends, but we know long term we're better off as friends and leaving it like that.
Simp is a word that pops up quite often. Would you consider your ex-husband or your current husband a simp?
No, especially when we first started, it wasn't we was doing it purely for money. It wasn't doing it as oh my God, yeah, I can't wait, for my wife to go and get riled by other people and stuff like that. It was just purely for money, and we saw it as it's going to allow us to grow together as a couple.
You can see why I'm asking that question, can't you?
100%, yeah.
And so you're free and single.
Yes.
And this guy wanted to collab with you. How did it feel? Where did it take place? What happened?
So it took place in Brisbane in Australia. And that day he was actually, I'm filming with other people as well. Did you want to do a group scene? And then we'll film our boy-girl scene afterwards. So my first actual sex scene was with 3 girls and 2 guys.
What prepared you for that?
I just had to Google what to do, basically, because I had never been with a girl at this point. Never really watched porn that much. Didn't know too much about orgies or what happens or how things work. Never been one to watch too much porn either. Like, I'd watch it occasionally, but, not nowhere near as much as, say, my partner did or my, or guys do in general. So, yeah, it was more just researching online and just winging it.
So your first scene...
I remember being so nervous. My friend dropped me off, and the whole time I was so nervous.
What, the first scene?
Yeah, like I said, never done any of it before. Didn't know what to do, how it worked or anything like that.
No one encouraging you to do this?
No, completely just doing it off my own bat because I wanted to. Got there, you all sort of introduce yourself, and they was all fairly new as well, which in a way didn't help the situation because you've got a bunch of newbies in the room, no one really knows what they're doing, so no one's really taking lead. And naturally I took the lead, which when I look back, I think it's because it just becomes natural to me. And I think in a way I was always meant to do this, but at the time I had no idea that I was going to be so good at it. So yeah, we all just chose our underwear, which outfits we wanted to put on, set up the cameras. The 2 guys got in the bed. We said what we did like or didn't like, if we had any limits. And then the scene started.
Were there any limits?
I just don't do backdoor, so that was my only limit.
So that's the only thing that's off the table. And what about the other people?
Similar, like we wasn't doing backdoor scenes anyway, so they just sort of said the same. And that was it.
What about protection?
So you have to get tested beforehand. So you have to show each other your test results.
And how regular do you get those tests?
Every 2 weeks.
So there is a possibility that you could catch something in that interim.
Possibly, but you're also working with other people that are also consistently tested. It's sort of when you think about it, if you was to go with someone on a night out or if you was to sleep with someone in general from a date snap or anything, they probably did not get tested in the last 2 weeks.
But they're also not sleeping with the volume of people that you are.
No, but then when you're all getting tested, sex workers are so careful with their health because of what we do. Whereas the average person does not get tested or have half the education we do as, in STDs. So
catching hepatitis or AIDS, does that not really cross your mind at all?
Yeah, it does, but no different to what it did beforehand. Touch wood, not got anything as of yet, even in terms of chlamydia. So yeah, and I think it's because people are shocked when we say, it's safe sex. It really is.
So as long as they've been tested and you're satisfied, there's no requirements for condoms?
No.
Okay. So that was your first scene.
Mm-hmm.
How did you go from filming a sex scene with multiple people to then sleeping with 18-year-old lads? And this is the bone of contention with a lot of people from what I can gather from the backlash that you've been receiving. So let's unpack that first.
So over my time between May, June when I first started, to November being my first time I started sleeping with 18-year-olds, I realised the content I was putting out there was not necessarily relatable, or it wasn't necessarily always focused on pleasure and enjoyment. And I decided to make content with a lot more relatable people and people that was more targeted towards my audience.
So 18-year-olds are your audience.
Not as just 18-year-olds, but like people enjoy teens. Like it's always been a very searched category in the whole, but usually it's schoolgirls as opposed to schoolboys.
So back in my day, if there was a fully grown man, and I consider a 25-year-old a fully grown man, if there was a fully grown man that was continually sleeping with 18-year-old girls, he would probably get weighed in. But I'm trying to think of it with the roles reversed. A lot of people will think, well, what's the difference?
See, the thing is, that has been happening from day one in the porn industry. Older guys have been sleeping with people dressed as schoolgirls, and it's always been one of the most searched videos online. So people think, oh my God, if it was a guy, it'd be so much different, or the backlash would be different. Well, it's never been different because guys have been doing it for a very long time, and there's never been an uproar around it. And women like to say, oh, we've got equality, or, we're moving things. Whereas suddenly I've switched it from schoolgirls to schoolboys, and there's an uproar. So people think, oh, if I was a guy, I would get, bigger backlash or I'd be arrested. Whereas it'd probably be the opposite because guys have been doing this for a very long time and there's never been a, drama like it.
I mean, when I was 18 years of age,
I
was working the door of pubs and clubs. I was getting in all sorts of trouble. I was sleeping with older women. So if I think of it from my point of view, I think, well, I was very grown up. I was very much a man at 18, but I also remember 18-year-olds that weren't men. They were still boys. So how do you assess that they're mentally capable of it not affecting them?
Yeah, well, as long as they're 18, their like sort of mental health and stuff isn't my I guess priority or focus, because as long as they come to me and if they was going to be super immature or childish or disrespectful, they'd be turned away. But everyone I've slept with has not been like that, and I have slept with people much older that have got less maturity than what an 18-year-old has. And I think a lot of people like to discriminate against 18-year-olds. They're happy to send them off to the army. They can drive, they can drink, and they go out partying. But God forbid they do something which is focused on pleasure and they use their own bodies, which is their choice.
Sitting opposite you now, having a conversation with you, you're very, very level-headed. You do look older than 25 because you're mature. I just can't picture you sleeping with an 18-year-old, let alone... I mean, how many 18-year-olds have you slept with?
Hundreds and hundreds now. It must be like 400, 300, 400.
Wow. It's very hard to imagine talking to you just as a normal human being, because I'm not looking at you as a porn star. I'm looking at you as a human being that's completely shifted the Overton window as to kind of what's acceptable and what's not. And where's the limit? Like, we live in a competitive world. Men compete against men, women compete against women. Like, where do you draw the line? Because what's the most amount of men you've slept with in one day?
37 in one day.
37 in one day. I mean, that's staggering. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It kind of shocks me to the core, but I'm not judging.
Yeah.
And I've also seen that you plan on sleeping with a lot more than that in one day.
I want to do the world record next year.
What is the world record?
It's currently like 916. That's the current world record.
All right, let me digest that. So there's a woman out there in the world that has had actual sex with 916 men in one day.
In one day, yes.
24 hours? I mean, I really wanted to keep this as sort of PG as I possibly can because I don't feel comfortable talking about sort of graphic sex, well, with someone 25, I'll be honest with you. But I need to know. And people watching will want to know. So do all these people need to complete the task? So
no, I need to look into exactly like how many pumps or how, what the exact rules is, but they don't need to finish within that time. I know it's one guy every 45 seconds for 24 hours.
So there will be a warehouse full of men, I'm assuming.
A full studio, yeah.
A full studio. And I mean, how will you be positioned? How would you take that?
On my back, I think. I mean, obviously I can switch it up. I think on my back and doggy. And
you're definitely going to do this?
Yes.
Why?
I just want to. There's no reason behind. They don't force me to do it. I want to break the mold and I want to break records. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
But what mold are you trying to break?
Just like the taboo subject around it, or like breaking it as in women can't be proud and bold about sex, or women can't see it as like a hobby and enjoyment. Like, if you want to go and do that, do that. And like, I'm not saying it's for everyone. I'm not forcing, and nor have I ever said to people, hey, come and do this job, or you need to follow my footsteps. All I do is share my stories, share my hobbies and what makes me happy. And if other people can sort of think, okay, yeah, I would enjoy doing similar things, then yeah, great, copy. But if not, I mean, everyone's got their own things.
And have you got a number of men that you want to sleep with in your mind? Is it 1,000, just to round it off?
Yeah, so it'll be obviously as many as I can. But yeah, I'll have to be pushing for over 1,000.
Have you thought about the ramifications that will have on your mental health?
My mental health is very strong.
It is now.
Mm-hmm. And it will continue to be so, because everything I do it because I want to do it. I do it each day. I'm like, okay, what makes me happy? What do I want to do today? And that's exactly what I do. Whereas, say, prior to that, you're controlled by other people, and it's sort of, you just go by life through the emotions. And if your happiness is always dictated by other people. Whereas now I'm an independent woman. If I don't want to do something, I don't do it. Or if I'm like, okay, that would make me really happy today, or, you know, I want to pleasure myself, I do exactly that.
You're a very interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
The 18-year-olds, let's go back to that, because a lot of people online are calling you a predator.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying if the roles were reversed, you'd be completely chastised for homing in on young lads, because when you're young, you are more vulnerable than you are when you're older. You haven't got the life experience. And I remember being an 18-year-old lad myself. You're sort of walking around with a loaded gun and you haven't got much upstairs. That does change.
Yeah.
So is there anything that makes you think, well, their face is going to be on camera? What about in 7 years' time, if they want to get into a relationship, are they going to regret that? What's the process there?
So when I get called a predator, or, well, we'll take it back. When people say to me, oh, if you was a guy, you'd be getting so much hate, or you'd be getting called a predator and paedophile. It's like, you are doing that anyway. So let's stop pretending to be any different if I was a guy. And then also in terms of me, sort of, they say grooming him, and it's an 18-year-old guy that's having sex. Whether you believe or not your son's this little innocent angel, they are having sex. And the chances are they're doing it on a night out after they've been drinking, and they're going back, taking someone. It's not in a controlled environment. They often can't even remember the night before if they used a condom, or who the girl is, or who their face is, or they definitely was not checking that girl's passport the night before. Whereas then when you're sleeping with me, it's their decision. They have chose to queue up. They have chose to contact me. And I really struggle to understand how people even have a leg to stand on when they say it's an unsafe environment. It's like I've said before, there's security on the door. They have to fill 2 consent forms in. They have to bring ID. And it is being filmed the whole time, which is also another point people kick off of saying, oh, you know, it shouldn't be filmed and that's unsafe for them. Well, the lucky thing is for them, I am filming from the time they walk in. So if you think anything has gone wrong, or if there's anything you want to check, the video is there. You know, you can go and purchase the video and watch it. And too many people think, you know, something's going off behind closed doors that those 18-year-olds aren't happy with. But I've got liquid evidence of them enjoying themselves, and too many people cannot understand that.
How do you get the attention of these young men? How do you market yourself?
Just through social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I put videos out there to say, hey, boys, this is where I'm going to be. If you want me to pleasure you, come and say hi and I'll do the rest. So it's their decision.
And is it always at a studio?
No, it's usually apartments, hotels, Airbnbs.
Do you make sure they're clean?
They wear a condom.
Do you make sure they have a shower?
Sometimes they have a shower, sometimes they don't. Depends how much time we've got.
Does that not bother you?
They come and they smell so fresh and taste fresh as well, because they know they're coming to me for one reason only. Like, usually you'd go on a night out or say a date and you don't necessarily know you are getting sex, so you perhaps aren't super fresh and freshly showered. These guys know they're coming to see me and I'm going to be pleasuring them.
Do you not have to fancy somebody to let them sleep with you?
No, just you've got to be clean, that's all. Clean and smell nice. And I've not had one bad experience yet.
They could have a great big nose, acne, hairy back.
The thing is that, you know, teenagers and stuff do have spots, or they do have things. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's completely normal and that's okay. Like, people are spotty, or people are perhaps a bit overweight, or they've got a smaller penis than other people. But my subscribers and the people I target, is my target audience, aren't all, you know, looking like Zac Efron and absolutely chiseled and perhaps a massive penis. Like, that isn't how it is. So I want to make my content relatable. And what turns me on is pleasuring them. So it's not like, you know, looking at their face, whether they're good look or not, isn't going to instantly get me wet. But watching their face or watching their toes curl as I'm pleasuring them, that is going to get me wet and want to sleep with them. I
remember being 18 myself, and the size of your manhood was a real big thing.
Oh, 100%.
Everyone was really, really conscious. Even, you know, when would be playing football in the changing rooms. Even the well-endowed lads would still be quite self-conscious.
You're insecure about it and you don't know, like, what is the average size? Because you're only seeing what's on porn as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not a conversation you have with your parents, or it's not a conversation you tend to even have with friends. It's just suddenly if you're in the changing rooms, people start looking off, people start panicking, or it's something they feel really insecure about.
These 18-year-olds that you sleep with, I mean, I'd imagine there's a whole variation of sizes, but
100%.
Are they all conscious? Are they nervous?
Some of them are so nervous. Some of them, because I'll compliment them or give them advice, and they're like, oh my God, thank you. I didn't know if my dick was too small, or I didn't know. Like, if I tell you you've got a lovely dick, they're like, oh, I'm not sure, I didn't know. And they're like, oh, really? Do you really think that? And stuff. Like, it really helps their confidence, because up until that point, even if they aren't a virgin and they have slept with other people beforehand, it's not something women necessarily do, is compliment someone's penis or say straight away, oh, you're good in the bedroom, or, you know, you've got a good looking penis, or your penis tastes nice. Like, people don't necessarily give that feedback, so they don't know and they're too nervous to ask.
So in amongst these 18-year-olds, you're happy to sleep with virgins as well?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I think it's like my favourite.
Your favourite is to take their virginity. Why is that?
It's the confidence they walk away with, because you know what kids are like, they pick on people or they make you feel insecure. And I generally believe the older you get, the more you build up sex as this thing in your head and you get too nervous. And then even if you do have the opportunity to sleep with someone, you're sort of thinking, well, I don't know what I'm doing. That girl's not going to like me, or it's going to, you know, I'm going to put that girl off because I don't know what to do in the bedroom. So having someone that you can then share that experience with, it's very memorable for them. It's memorable for me. And just watching their face and giving them a good educational experience. Because for most people, their first time is either a bit of a disaster or it's not a great experience, or so many things go wrong. Whereas I'm able to completely take that away and give them a memorable, pleasurable first time.
Do any of them feel absolutely mortified afterwards? Let's just say they finish too quick. And if and I'm assuming that like there's numbers of them in the room at the time.
No, so sometimes they come by themselves. Other time they've come with their friends or family members. Like, it's completely up to them who they want to bring in the room.
Because a lot of guys I know, and when they talk about their sex life, they make no bones, and they always joke about lasting 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But they're not actually joking.
Oh, so, 30 seconds is quite a good time, that is, with some of these 18-year-olds. Like, so my shortest video was 6 seconds.
I mean, how did you even make a video out of 6 seconds?
So sometimes when they're shorter videos, I'll do it, hey, look, this is what I did within 24 hours, or this is what I did in 12 hours, or it gets put into a bundle. But that video, it's not actually 6 seconds, because you see me talk to him beforehand, you see me getting undressed, you see me talking to him, and you see how I react after they finish. Because too many people think, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. If I was to finish within that short amount of time, what would Bonnie say? How would she react? You know, would she be embarrassed? Whereas you can see naturally, I'm like, oh, that's completely fine. Are you okay? Do you want to have a little rest? Are you sensitive? Would you like to go again? Whereas you do not see that on the Pornhub whatsoever. All you see is these perfect videos that, you know, 20, 30, 45 minutes where all the little mistakes have been cut out and they make out the transitions have gone absolutely perfectly. Whereas putting videos that are shorter shows to whether you are 18, 20 or, you know, 40, shows sometimes if you only last a short amount of time, doesn't mean it's not a pleasurable experience. You can still have a good time. You just finished a bit quick.
And you get other lads that are just full of themselves that want to ego fuck you.
Oh, 100%. You've got ones that have been taking Viagra beforehand. A mixture. It's many reasons. Sometimes they're sleeping with me because I've slept with their friend beforehand and their friends told them what a good experience they've had and they've come to sleep with me. Other times it's for confidence or they want to learn something from me. Other times they've seen me online and think, I want to absolutely rail that girl, and they come and do that.
What about internal injury? I mean, having all of those men sleeping with you, depending on how long they last or how rigorous it is, surely that can't be good for your insides.
I mean, I'm no doctor, but it definitely doesn't hurt, and I feel pleasure throughout. So, yeah, and it's obviously when I do those stints and I sleep with a very large amount of people in a short amount of time, it's not like I'm doing that every single day. And some of these guys, like I said, do not last long whatsoever. They don't even get past the blowjob stage. So they're not even going inside me. So it's not as if I'm having things inside me nonstop throughout the day.
And do you plan on continuing this this route of sleeping with freshers?
100%.
This is now your thing?
Yeah.
Okay. What about older guys?
Yeah, love pleasure in them as well. It's very different though in terms of 18-year-olds, they go out partying a lot more. They're a lot more easy in a way to get across in social media in terms of marketing. So from a business point of view, they're the ones that talk the talk. If I sleep with one 18-year-old, they go and tell all their friends. And they're the ones that are on social media a lot more as opposed to the older generation. So in terms of a money point of view, 18-year-olds are perfect.
All these people that I can speak freely, all these hundreds of men that you sleep with, is there ever a time where you feel a connection, like there's some feelings there?
Yeah, some people I sleep with, I continue sleeping with again and again off camera, or I stay in contact with. Like, I'm just a girl at the end of the day. Sometimes you have a connection with people and sometimes you don't. And
have you slept with a father and son at the same time?
Yes, yeah. I think that's brilliant. Like, to have that much of a good relationship with your son, or, you know, for the son to have that much of a good connection with their dad, I think it's fantastic. Too many people, especially 18-year-olds, I know when I was at school, would argue with their dads or wouldn't have a good relationship with them. I think to have that much of a good relationship that you can come with your dad to sleep with me is fantastic.
Yeah, see, this is where it's either you and me are on a completely different page, or it's just generations, because I think the father needs his head kicked in for that.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I know you think that, but I think that is one of the most outrageous things I've ever heard, and he needs his fucking head checking.
See, I think it goes back to, I know if I had kids, I'm thinking, okay, my son's having sex regardless. Do I want them to have sex in a safe, controlled environment with someone like myself, or someone that's not tested, you know, has been drinking beforehand and there's been no checks done? So naturally, as a dad, I think, no, I'd much prefer them to see a sex worker like myself. And the dad is just a guy himself. And if he wants to be pleasured and have fun in the bedroom, he deserves that as well. So
with his son.
Yeah, so I think, why not?
That's
if you've got a good connection.
Fucking nuts.
Take me from both ends.
It's not just stuck in my mind, it's blown my mind.
Yeah.
So I just want to...
Has it blown your other end as well?
No, just my mind. But I want to reverse it. Mm-hmm. So that father and son act,
yes,
that both had sex with you at the same time, which I think is fucking disgraceful. Mm-hmm. Pure and simple. You don't. No. You thought it was a beautiful thing. Would you share somebody with your mum or your dad?
No, I never want my dad to see me, you know, or my mum like that. That's just my personal opinion. It wouldn't turn me on. So it's all down to communication and what turns you on. So yeah, it wouldn't be for me personally. It wouldn't turn me on. However, seeing how much they enjoyed it, that was brilliant for them, and I loved giving them that service.
And so for the record, you wouldn't let a man have sex with you and your mum at the same time?
No, because that won't turn me on or get me wet.
Yeah. For me, there's no ifs, buts or maybes. That is warped and deranged behaviour, and the geezer needs a slap. But talking about safety, let's talk about your safety for a minute.
Yes.
How do you feel about your safety? Have you ever been in a position where you haven't felt safe?
There's definitely times, say if I'm looking at the hate online, so I'm receiving hundreds of death threats a day, that you think, wow, okay, this is becoming a lot. But in terms of in-person hate, it has not yet happened. And it's going to at some point. But no one has come up to me to give me hate. No one has ever tried to hurt me in person. So I've never felt unsafe from that point of view. I've always had security and, I guess, help if I've needed it. And the people that queue up to sleep with me are people that have the utmost respect for me. And they want nothing more than to give me a good time. I want to give them a good time. So the people that are there are fans, subscribers and followers. They're not your middle-aged Karens.
Well, you know, you said at the start you was quite naive and vulnerable. Not vulnerable. You was naive to the whole industry 100%. And you sort of navigated yourself through. Do you think maybe you're being naive in the sense that you think everyone that turns up has got good intentions?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely the chance. There was a time recently where there was 23 guys. I wanted to do a big video with all of them. And actually at the end of that, I had things taken and robbed. And they had come back later that day to take more things, well, later that evening. But luckily, because I'm a bit of a slut, a group of guys had already stayed behind for me to sleep with again off camera. So when these other guys turned up to rob me further, there was already other people there. So I'm definitely learning, and I'm learning every single day. So yeah, partly I can be naive when it comes to safety.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just slip this in there before we carry on. Like, be fucking careful and keep your eyes and ears open, because there's some real bad people out there that masquerade as 100%. Good people. And I tend to find that, I mean, not everyone that's highly sexed, but, you know, you get your Neanderthal highly sexed man that they're kind of different from the rest. Yeah. And they think differently, and they perceive women differently. Like not everyone that's going to sleep through the net is going to have respect for you. That's a fact. So yeah, really do be careful, because you don't need me to tell you this, but I've got a lot more life experience and I've come across some really, really terrible people and I wouldn't feel like I was doing my job sitting here with you and not saying, whatever you do, please be careful because it's a fucking cruel world out there and you're now going to be travelling the world doing what you do, meeting new people. You've got to retrust them.
I think the thing is that I never want the hate to win. I never want the death threats to feel... If I start giving and thinking, you know what, I'm not going to share my location online anymore because I've received too many death threats, it's sort of encouraging death threats, saying, oh, if you don't like someone or if you don't want someone to continue doing what they're doing, give them more death threats because it'll get to a point where they can't handle it and can't take it. Whereas I'm never going to stop. I'm going to show, just because you've given me death threats, just because you are pathetic, I will not let that mean I'm going to shy away or not allow myself to pleasure the people I want to pleasure because you're sat at home giving me hate. So all I'm going to do in future is up security, make sure I'm super safe, make sure I'm more alert and I'm aware, of the hate I'm receiving. But it will never get to the point where I'm going to stop.
You said that when you finish filming scenes with multiple men, that when the cameras are off, you continue having sex.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes the on camera is for work. Sometimes I want to continue. If I find them overly attractive or there's a connection, I want to have some boring spooning position sex afterwards off camera.
So would you say you was a sex addict?
Not an addict. I enjoy it and I enjoy receiving pleasure and giving pleasure, but
you don't think you're a sex addict?
No, I wouldn't say so. An addict implies something which is bad for you or something you need to, stop doing, but...
Okay, you sex obsessed?
I'd say I'm obsessed with sex, yeah. It's something I think about when I wake up, I think about when I go to sleep, and I'm thinking about it half the time throughout the day.
So when you've done these marathon sex scenes and then the cameras go off and you continue these sex scenes, well, they're not even scenes, they're just, sex that you want to have. Are they fueled by any substance?
No.
Completely straight, completely sober?
Substances in Viagra and stuff?
No, I'm thinking more Class A drugs.
Oh, you know what? I've never done it. Never even touched a cigarette. It's just never been for me.
I'm glad you've never had a cigarette. Okay, so you're having marathon sex sessions completely and utterly sober as a judge.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about your parents. I think we've got a good idea as to what you do for a living.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we're going to talk financials. So people that are sitting here thinking, what must you be earning? We'll touch base towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Your dad. You are his little princess. In his mind, I would like to think you are still his baby.
100%, yeah.
Because he supports you, doesn't he?
Yeah, completely.
Which is fucking nuts.
It's not when you break it down. He's a dad that wants me to be happy. He sees I'm happy, therefore supports me.
Yeah, let's break it down further.
Yeah.
The first time you told him that I'm going to be having sex on camera for money.
I didn't tell him. A video got leaked to my mum. My mum then had the conversation with my dad. I then had the conversation a few weeks later.
So your mum got sent a video of you having sex with someone?
Yes.
Wow. How did she approach you?
My sister told me, she was like, Mum's found out. Mum knows what you do. Because I told my sister probably a few days before this, but this was still very, very early on. I'd only been in the industry, I think, about 2 weeks at this point. So I was always going to tell them. Always had a good relationship with them, but I'd only just started. So I just wanted to understand the industry a bit more myself because I couldn't go and tell my parents hey, this is what I'm doing. It's a really safe environment. This is the situation when I was still learning myself. So I was always going to tell them. Obviously, someone else leaked a video beforehand. So my mum thought I was either forced into it or I had money problems. She, just like most parents, didn't understand to start with.
And you've not got any problems? You've never been on any meds or been depressed?
No. Been unhappy in the past, but more just stressed with work, thinking, is this all life is? You go to work, get given, 22 days annual leave and you're controlled and get no freedom. Unhappy from that sense, but never to the point where I've ever been depressed.
Have you ever considered the fact that sleeping with hundreds of men is self-harm?
No.
Never crossed your mind?
Harm is something which hurts. Sex is something which pleasures.
Also, self-harm is something you do when you want to clock out of something that you're consciously in. Have you thought of it like that?
Yeah, but there's nothing I'm either trying to distract myself from or bury or, get away from.
You're not trying to escape anything?
No, people think there is. And I wish I could tell them some sort of crazy story and then it'd probably think, okay, this is why she does what she does. It is as simple as I enjoy it, I have fun, and I am happy.
Yeah, my mind is blown because I would expect, by looking at the work that you do and looking at the backlash that you get, I would think that I would be sitting opposite somebody that is visibly and noticeably damaged.
Yeah.
And you don't seem that at all. Unless you're a really, really good actress, you seem like a very normal young lady.
I am. And I use the word normal. I'm like, I'm just a normal person, but I shouldn't even be using that word because what I'm doing, yes, isn't perhaps the usual, but it is normal. You can just be like myself and enjoy sex and talk very boldly and proudly about it. But you sort of think you have to justify, like even when I say, oh, I'm a sex worker, but I'm nothing like that. Even I put in judgment on him by saying that. I'm saying like, oh, but I'm not like other sex workers. Like there is nothing wrong with being a sex worker, but sometimes the way I defend it implies there's something to defend, whereas really I need to stop defending or getting my, defense up sometimes about it because it's like I should just be proud about it, speak about it, and not even have to waste time in a way, defending it to perhaps people in the street or strangers.
Is the backlash normally from older people?
Oh, 100%. If you've taken an easy route in anything, I always think the older generation sort of think, oh, well, you took the easy route. We was not put on this world to suffer or to make, you don't get an extra medal at the end of life to go, well done, you picked the hard route. As long as you're happy with the route you took, that's all that matters.
Let's go back to your dad.
Yeah.
If I had a 25-year-old daughter and she come up to me and said, Dad, I've got, in fact, he didn't find out that way, but let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if my 25-year-old daughter come up to me and said, Dad, I'm making a living in the sex industry.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, what do you actually mean by sex industry? How far are you willing to go? If my daughter said, well, I'm going to sleep with hundreds of men in one sitting, and again, I don't feel comfortable even speaking as graphic as this, but, do they finish? Where do they finish?
Wherever they want. As long as it's not inside me, because I've got to wear a condom, but they can finish on my face, my arse, wherever they want to finish. If they finish in the condom and want to rinse it on my face afterwards, they're welcome to. I like them to be in control of their pleasure and what they enjoy. So if they want to finish on my face, my arm, or wherever they want to do it, it's up to them.
Okay, so with your dad knowing all of that, it would break my absolute heart, and I just wouldn't know what to do, who to turn to, or even how to make sense of it. Do you think your dad has made sense of it, or does he think he doesn't want to upset you because you're his princess?
He has sort of made sense of it. And like I said, which is hard to believe because people like yourself wouldn't agree with it, nor would you want, if you did have a daughter, to do it. But it goes back, and I know I've said it multiple times, he sees that I'm happy. He sees that I enjoy it. And that's all that, that's all that he really cares about. Would he choose this job for me? Probably not. Would he think, there's a list of job titles, pick which one you wouldn't want your daughter to do, and it'd probably be this one. However, the more he learns about it, the more he's actually fascinated or he finds it interesting, and he sees people that come up to me in the street, and they're like, hey, Bonnie, can I have a photo? And he's like, oh, I'll take the photo for you and stuff. And he really is, obviously he does see the backlash, and he definitely doesn't see the bedroom stuff, but he also sees the benefits from it. He sees how happy these people are when they come up to me. He sees the fact I'm happy, and that's all he's focused on.
And so your dad's never said to you or said out loud or to anybody that he feels like he's failed as a father because his daughter's a porn star?
Definitely not. It's the complete opposite. He is proud and he sees how happy I am. And the biggest thing in life is having freedom and flexibility. My dad has worked his whole life, worked 2 jobs for what? All you're going to do is retire at the end of it. You get given the same amount of annual leave. Whereas when he sees his daughter breaking that mold and breaking, like I said, my family have always had a bit of money, but never to the point of, if you're sick, you've got to go into work. Sorry, Dad, you've got to miss Christmas again this year. You've got to go to work. He now sees the freedom and flexibility I have and is nothing but proud, thinking, wow, I'm not living the same, going to work non-stop, working for someone else, being dictated by someone else. He's like, wow, she's independent, earning good money, and she's happy.
What about your dad's friends? What have they said to him?
Just checked in there to see if I was happy. Am I okay? And that is it.
Have any of your dad's friends watched your content?
I don't know.
I would guess that they have.
Yeah, probably. They've probably had a look, just like probably a lot of people have. But they become intrigued and want to see it. But who knows? He probably had a wank over me before I did this anyway. So
your dad or his mates?
No, of course, his mates, not him.
I mean, you say of course. I mean, it's like nothing's off limits by the sounds of things. It's blown my mind. And your mum, she's cool with it? And she's never had like a sex work background?
No, there's so many rumours going around saying she's a paid actor. She went on a podcast with me recently. Oh, she's an ex-sex worker or so many different things. But no, she's always just done, she's a childminder at one point, has done different cleaning jobs, worked in a jewellery shop. Always been mainly like a stay-at-home mum and focused on me and my sister.
And what kind of money are you making?
A lot. I last month hit $500,000 in 30 days, and this month's looking like it could be 750.
That's no joke.
No joke.
And do you fund your parents now?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think your dad bites his tongue because he's living a lavish lifestyle now?
No, completely not. He's worked his whole life, and you know, even though he's not perhaps enjoyed it, he's always been happy to, and he's got a brilliant work ethic. But now that I'm earning a lot of money, it seems silly to not, you know, I want to help my family. I've got a close relationship with them. So I'm not going to be here earning absolutely millions and saying, you know, to my parents, hey, go to work.
Mm. And how do you feel like your life's changed since you started this sex journey?
Completely. In just about every aspect, it's hard to put into words how much my life's changed for the better. I've got so much freedom, flexibility. I'm a millionaire. Even silly things, like when I used to go shopping in Selfridges, I thought it was a terrible experience. It was so busy, crammed, hot. Now you get, you know, picked up, you go into a VIP lounge, you get drinks brought to you, you get champagne, your clothes are brought to you. You have a stylist, your clothes are altered there and then for you and dropped off at home later on. And in just about every aspect of my life has changed for the better. And are
you recognised everywhere?
Yeah, a lot of places.
What men are on your hit list that you'd like to sleep with?
I've never been fixated. You know, even when I was young and people usually have a like celebrity obsession or they're like, oh my God, I adore this person. I've never had that.
Eamon Holmes?
No, I tell you who, you won't have watched it. There's a series called
Sorry, Eamon.
Emily in Paris, and there's this mixed race guy and he is very, very attractive, but I don't know his name.
I know we're against the clock. You've got an appointment to go to after this.
Well, it's actually just to have sex with a girl, but yeah.
Do we know this girl?
Yeah, she's blonde, hot, and from Love Island. Did you watch Love Island much?
I'm a 44-year-old man.
I mean, my dad used to love Love Island, actually. And so did my grandma.
That don't surprise me.
Megan, she got a lot of backlash herself, actually, when she went on Love Island and when she came up, because she did, like, stripping, and she now does OnlyFans as well.
And do you think she's going to push it to the limits you have?
She does a lot more, like, underwear, and like no nudity, but still sexy things, just not perhaps 18-year-olds.
And is this the first time you would have slept with her?
Yes.
Do you think she's going to be intimidated by you?
No.
Have you sort of built up a bit of a rapport beforehand?
Yeah, I spoke over messages, but a lot of the time when you do OnlyFans collabs or you work with people in the industry, you don't really meet them beforehand. It's exchanging messages on social media. You set a date and a time, you turn up, and that is it. Sometimes you work with someone, don't really get along, but you know, you make good content and that's the end of it. Other times you could really get along with someone, the content is amazing, and you keep in contact and become friends. And
this scene you're going to shoot, is it Megan?
Yes.
From Love Island.
Mm-hmm.
Where will people be able to see this scene? Because I'm sure people are thinking, where can I watch that?
For sure. It'll be on OnlyFans, and there'll be also stuff on Instagram and Twitter.
Your OnlyFans or hers?
Both. So when you do a collab, both of you get the content. So one person could earn a lot of money from the content and the other one earns no money, and you do not share the money or the profits whatsoever.
So she's going to be the last person you sleep with in the UK?
Yes.
And then you're flying to the States?
To LA, yes.
Okay, so what does the next year do for you?
Next year, going to spring break in March. That's a lot of college boys, so my favourite hobby. The world record. I'll be back in the UK doing freshers again. And then apart from that, I don't know. It's a very exciting year ahead. And
where do you see yourself going sort of long term? I mean, when are you going to stop having sex with so many men?
Whenever I stop enjoying it. There's no end date. There's no sell-by date for sure. If I want to do it until I'm really old, I can do that. But if I ever stop waking up thinking, I'm not enjoying this anymore, or the hate's getting to me a little bit, or, you know, I feel like a Sahara Desert down there, I will stop. But whilst I'm enjoying it and having fun, I don't want to slow down.
Have you got a figure in your mind? What figure, monetary terms, you want to reach? Like how many million?
Well, next year I want to be earning $1 million a month. I want to be hitting about 12 to 13 mil next year. That's the plan. But it's not necessarily needed. I'm more than comfortable with the money I'm earning now. So,
can you see yourself travelling to places like Dubai and doing it here, there, and
Dubai's
everywhere?
a bit too flashy for me. I don't think I like it. I prefer the more like beach, quiet.
Relaxed.
Yeah, 100%.
And I suppose places where there's plenty of students.
Yeah, that also helps.
Well, this has been a fascinating conversation, and I fully appreciate how open and honest you've been. I mean, to round it up, finish it off, I sincerely hope you remain safe. You don't ever come across a lunatic that wants to hurt and harm you, because they are out there.
100%.
And if there's anything more you can do to ensure that these 18-year-old lads are kept safe and protected and they're not being exploited, I would encourage that. And I would love to sit here with you again, maybe in a year's time or 2 years' time or even 5 years' time, just to see where you've gone from now to then and see if anything's changed. And just things creep into your mind and you don't even realise them creeping in. And just make sure you're not one of these 40-year-old ex-porn stars that's severely damaged with a drug habit. Really look after yourself.
Yeah. A lot of the people blame the industry. It's not the industry, it's down to yourself. If you're not mentally strong, get out of it. Don't blame the industry. And a lot of people think there's going to be some sort of dramatic ending for me, or, you know, that I'm not going to be able to put up with it. But like, there was a book I was reading and it said, for you to reach fame, it's not about taking the good parts. It's how well you can manage the hate. That's how well you're going to succeed in life.
You're a solid girl.
Thank you.
I'll give you that. And is there anything you want to say just to round it off? Any final message to anybody watching? And it can be whatever you like.
No, I think it's just the main thing obviously at the moment, I'm being called a predator. If you think your 18-year-old son doesn't want to sleep with me, then you really need to get out from living under a rock. It's their bodies, they're consenting. And if you have an issue, up the age of consent. Or send the government in with me to join me in the bedroom, because I'm happy either way.
Bonnie, it's been interesting. Thanks for being so honest and open. Good health and good luck.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.